Yeah. Alright, g'day everyone. So, this is an opportunity for me to share quickly on just one of the ideas coming out of my study of the Old Testament, this subject that I've been working on this session. And the thing that I've picked up on in some of my assignments is actually God's love through the Old Testament. And you see that in God's interaction with Israel as He establishes a covenant with them and is seeking a relationship with them as His own people. He's consistently faithful to them right through the Old Testament, even them doing all sorts of stuff. And as I delved into this concept of God's love, I came across the Hebrew word that's behind these translations of God's, the use of that word as a descriptor of God, as in Exodus, where God's saying to Moses, the Lord, abounding in steadfast love. And it's that word, steadfast love, that is actually based on the Hebrew word Hesed. And this word is translated variously as faithfulness, loyalty, devotion, but most often steadfast love. And the reason they add the steadfast in is because there's this whole element to that Hebrew word, and in particular to its usage in the Old Testament, talking about God, that carries this meaning of commitment and loyalty and long-term, stubborn, steadfast pursuit in a relationship. Just to better convey the meaning of the word, I'll quickly read this quote, which I found very helpful, from an author, Lois Tverberg. She said, Hesed is like a bone-weary father who drives through the night to bail his drug-addicted son out of jail. Or it's like a mother who spends day after thankless day spoon-feeding and wiping up after her disabled child. Or it's like an unsung pastor's wife whose long-suffering, tearful prayers keep her exhausted husband from falling apart at the seams. It's a love that can be counted on decade after decade. It's not about the thrill of romance, but the security of faithfulness. And as I'm pondering on this love and better understanding that this is the love that characterizes God, and this is the love that He's calling us to as believers and followers of Him, I realize how powerful it can be for me, living out my calling, and also how powerful it is for believers in general in this Western culture, where there's a lot of confusion around love and what love means and the use of the word. And I think one of the benefits I can see coming out of it is, if you can grasp this meaning, it can provide a lot of stability to your walk with the Lord, where love is not seen to be as much of a feelings-based emotional thing, but it's a faithfulness, it's a long-term commitment. And understanding love this way can give you a steadfastness and a stability in your walk with the Lord. In spite of whatever feelings and emotions are rushing through your mind, in spite of circumstances, it can give you a grounding and an establishing. So I'd like to leave you with that challenge, and hopefully you can appreciate it as much as I did.
Yes, I do. That was good, Mom.
That's fantastic. Really, I think we turned it.